Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning trading room. Hang on here just a second. We'll get the screen share going. There we go. All right. Okay, yesterday the NASDAQ falling off sharply. And as we expected, it recovered slightly toward the afternoon session and then kind of spent the rest of the day in a bit of a sideways trading range. There were still some decent ranges here, as you can see. The overnight, relatively quiet, however. We're still kind of trading within this trading range, pretty much picking up today where they left off yesterday. All right, we'll see here. We'll give them a few minutes to settle in. If those of you who like your first in-sync signals of the day, well, we have one here already in the Raptor. We're producing our number one signal, our cloud crossover signal. And you can see the issues with early morning trading right here. Just a bit of a, well, I'm not going to call it a head fake, but as the market is approaching the lows, there's going to be a tendency to buy. I mentioned this before, but it bears repeating that perhaps your most difficult job as a trader will be identifying market trend. Trying to figure out, should I be bullish? Should I be bearish? If the market tends to be sideways, then, and you can see that simply by, opening up your chart and scrolling through it. You can see the market here very sideways. There's going to be a tendency for the market, for the buying to occur down here on the support zones and selling to occur up here in the resistance zones at the top end of the trading range. So you need to be ready for that. Right now, we're kind of in the middle of that range. We're fairly neutral. You can see we're bouncing back and forth a bit. We did have a first micro-macro cross here signal on the hawk, which got up to its scalp target. We're following up now with another red bar buy. So the hawk may be a little bit more bullish. Now we're coming back toward the bottom end of the trading range. You can't see it so well here on the Raptor. I was going to show you on the Raptor. Looks a little bit better here on the Eagle. You can see here's the overnight lows. Yesterday's low is a little bit lower than that. We kind of bottomed out around 7,500 or in that area anyhow. Working on a bit of a 4-arrow consolidation here in the Hawk. I wonder. These sideways trading ranges, I tell you, they can be very, very tough trading at times. I don't mind them overall, just because if we get a broad enough range, there's usually decent opportunities to buy and sell. It's when the trading range gets a little bit tight, however, that things can be a little bit more difficult. We'll take a quick look at the daily NASDAQ. Kind of get a feel for where we are. You can see yesterday's session had a fair amount of volume with it, certainly more volume than we had on these big buying bars, which we looked at before and thought that that might be a little bit of a concern. So maybe at the moment things definitely looking a little bit more bearish. Okay, that Hawk 4-arrow consolidation worked out pretty good. It piggybacked on a macro pullback signal as well. And now we are definitely getting closer toward yesterday's lows, where there was a bit of a pushback. We'll see here in a moment how they respond. We're also down now to the primary support line. Oh well, don't tell me it's going to be another one of these kinds of days. Where the market just starts running and doesn't really give you a second chance to get in. We do have these discretionary signals, of course, which just allow you to, they show you that all the signal parameters have been met, and they just give you a place that you can enter, although it's not necessarily one of our high probability signals. we'll see here in a moment how they respond now that we're back near yesterday's lows. Hi, Scott. Scott says, he asks, Eric, did you get in on any of that short yesterday? Yes, I did, but not as much as I would have liked. All right, well, here we're breaking now below 7,500. So technically we are below yesterday's lows. We'll see if there's a little bit of a retest now, and hopefully that will give a decent selling opportunity. Might not get a really big retest. First in sync eagle of the signal, eagle signal of the day. Right there, your green bar sell, boom, down they go. Okay, a little bit of a pushback now. All right, we got some opportunities. We got a green bar sell here in the hawk. Oh, the falcon actually getting a little bit bullish. The trend line spoiled there on the falcon. We should see a hard edge signal produce here on the raptor. The eagle may be a little bit more drawn out to get to that hard edge signal. But there's definitely a reaction there. Definitely some sensitivity. Wow, look at that move. Well, that is a much bigger pushback than I thought we were going to see. That was a real strong rally on the part of the buyers. We're actually in the middle of a late filter entry signal now on the falcon, which would look a little bit bullish. The problem is, well, when the market has made such a solid move like this, it's going to be very difficult to cover a short position. You know, if we look to sell, there's no signal here, but let's say we look to sell there, where do I cover the trade? If I cover it right here, that's very, very close within the current range. The second swing up here, but it's kind of shallow. I really should cover it back up here, closer to the high of the day. And that's gonna just put me right out of reach. All right, well, we're in the hard edge. Let's see what we get. Rick's asking, Eric, I need a step-by-step walkthrough of the current iteration of the trade manager, all the features, methodical, step-by-step, so I can use it confidently. Where can I find this? Thank you. There is some literature on the trade manager at the website. Most of the features are self-explanatory. So if you go to your strategies window and you go to your trade manager, if you click on something, or even if you just highlight it, it will tell you a little bit about it. And most of the settings, you will stay with the default as well. So here, disable the trade manager on a rejected order. This is something that is favorable, right? You don't want your order to stay there if for whatever reason, like let's say you put in a buy order and the market skips over you, you don't want that buy order to stay there. So you want your orders to disable. Account name, account balance, auto scale, these are all pretty straightforward. Trail indicator enabled. This just tells you, and again, this is in the literature, but this just by default, it will always have your trade manager on. So you're always going to see the trade manager. By default, I like to have mine turned off, just a personal preference. Invalid trail stop. This is one that you will want to change. By default, it is set at 10 ticks. That's probably too tight. You should probably make that a little bit bigger. You can see I have mine set at 30. Plot execution or strategy executions, that just shows you, that's a visual thing, just shows you. The only other thing you're really going to change are here the auto break even. Whether you want to use the auto break even, you can turn it on. What your break even trigger is going to be in ticks. And then once your break even is engaged, how many ticks are you going to save? By default, it is set at 1. And then you can, like I said, you can go through these. Again, you're going to stay with the standards for most of these. I don't think I've ever changed anything in here. Likewise here, this is your preview settings. Again, nothing to change. These are your graphics. If you would like them to be darker, the maximum opaqueness is 255. So you could change your values from 200 to 255 if you're having difficulty seeing them. You can adjust the colors through here. Again, something I've never changed. I did change this. I did change my font. I made it larger. And I did change where my entry line is positioned. So by default, I think it's set at the left side. I changed mine to the right. These are your bar high-low settings. Again, nothing to change there. Your account parameters. Perhaps the only thing you may change here is your risk volatility percent. By default, I think it is set at 1. You can adjust it here. I have mine preset at 2%, so you can see my risk percent will always come up at 2% on my default. I've preset some targets. Click or tick targets. If it's tick target, it means I can preset what I want my profit targets to be. If it's set at click, that means I will manually select my target on the chart. Target 1% because Trade Manager works in a percentage fashion. So I've got a 50-50 trade here. If I have more than one contract available, I'm going to have a 50-50 trade scenario. So I have 50% at target 1 and 50% on my runner. And then I can preset my target 1. So really the only changes I make on my Trade Manager are my risk percent. If I want preset targets versus manually selecting a target, the font, and my auto break even. I turn my auto break even on. Sorry, and my invalid stop. So those 4 things, those are the only changes I make in Trade Manager apart from the defaults. When you have made some changes and you're happy with the way your Trade Manager is, do yourself a favor and save a template. Just give it a name. Just type something in there, press enter. And then you will have a template so the next time you load a fresh chart, you don't have to rebuild your Trade Manager all the time. As far as the Trade Manager tools up here, I'll go over them again. It doesn't take very long. The only thing that's new apart from the literature is this panic exit button. This is just here that, if the world comes unstuck and you need out of your positions and you don't care where you get filled, the panic exit will close all positions associated with your account. The buy and sell buttons are pretty self-explanatory. They just buy and sell at the market. If you have a stop enabled, it will give you a trade based on your stop. So let's say, just for the heck of it, there's no signal, but just for demonstration purposes, if I short, watch what happens. My stop is turned on. I have a swing strategy enabled. I have targets preset, and I have my risk capped at 2%. If I hit the sell button, I automatically get a stop. I have my target. I have my auto break even. All right. The same thing would happen if I hit the buy button, but in reverse. Your close button, of course, closes out the position. Your break even button will take the trade to break even, in this case, break even +1, if possible. Obviously, you have to have at least 1 tick to the good for that to work. Your OCO function allows you to do bracket trades. So when you click on your OCO, here, we'll do it here on the, here, it doesn't matter. We'll just close this. So when you click on your OCO In order to enter your bracket trades, you have to right-click on your chart. And then you can select your buy and sell orders. And these orders will be live. You can move them around. If you want more than one OCO order, you can toggle the OCO button. And now you can enter another OCO order. And yet again, some people like to use the OCO for profit orders. You can do that as well. So you can put a limit order down there to buy. You can put another limit up order here to sell, and those can be your profit orders. Now, the interesting thing with the OCO orders is if you click on one to exit out, the other one that was paired with it will also automatically erase. Likewise here, if I click the ones OCO2, if I X that out, the other order that is paired with it will also cancel. All right, so the OCO function is perhaps the only thing that sometimes gets a little bit confusing. We've got our order status. We have our account bar with our current P&L. You can toggle through it for dollars, ticks, percentage, or personally, I want to concentrate on the chart. I find it distracting, so I turn it off. Your bid and ask histogram. Your trail indicator enabled. This is your on-off button for your trade manager. Your various stop strategies to choose from. If you're currently, say, in the swing strategy and you're wondering, I wonder what the percentage strategy will look like, you can click your preview button and then you will get these orange hash marks and they will show you how the percentage strategy would have worked. And you can cycle through here. You can see how your ATR might have worked. Of course, you can make changes to it and see if those changes would be better or worse. If you like it better, then you just click accept, and now that becomes your current strategy. You can change strategies while you are in a trade. That is a very nice feature of Trade Manager. Set prices button. That's how you enter your trade, right? And again, because I have a target already preset, I automatically get the target. If I manually want to select a target, I just click targets enabled, and now I can manually set a profit target. The submit button, of course, submits the order for you. The risk percent button, if you click on that, you can toggle between manual mode and risk percent mode. So risk percent mode is here. And then if it goes to manual, it defaults to this quantity down here. Your various order types, you have 4 order types. By default, it's set at stop. If you're trading a market that is prone to slippage, you may want to choose your stop limit order. And then you can select how much slippage you're prepared to accept. By default, it is set at 1 tick. And then down here, you can manually select how you want your trade to break up. Like I said, right now I got a 50-50 trade, 50% target 1, 50% on the runner. But let's say I wanted to do it in thirds. So I have 33% at target 1, 33% at target 2. Now I need to select a target for target 2, say we'll make that 30 ticks, and 34% at target 3. And I have to select another target. So now when I set my order and make sure I have at least 3 orders going, I have my preset targets. Quite honestly, the best way to learn to use Trade Manager is just to get into sim mode and play with your Trade Manager. Most of it is fairly intuitive. If there's something you don't get, but certainly bring it up in the room or shoot me an email. But you can check the documentation that we have for it. It really hasn't changed. The cosmetics have changed. The pictures aren't going to be the same as the one you're looking at. The old Trade Manager also had buy the bid, sell the ask, sell the bid, buy the ask, or sell the ask, which are redundant. Nobody ever uses those things. But folks, don't be shy about asking questions. If you're using the Trade Manager and it's doing something funky you don't understand, please ask. There is I'm not going to call it a glitch because it doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes all you have to do is reboot your Trade Manager. But every once in a while, if you're using your OCO function, and here we'll just set a trade a little bit tighter here so that we can get a fill. Every once in a while when you're using your OCO function, it will fill and both orders will disappear. So in that case, very often I'll just make sure I'm in manual mode and just re-enter via the market buttons if I really want in the trade. So here you can see I'm kind of squeezing the market. All right, so that one worked correctly. But like I say, every once in a while, both orders will disappear, both your buy order and your sell order. One will cancel, they'll both cancel out, which is not what it's supposed to do. Normally, all you have to do is restart your Trade Manager and everything will be fine. That's why I hesitate to call it a glitch or a bug because it's not consistently so. All right, let's close that out. Yeah, Rick, I just got an email from Top Step this morning. I haven't had a chance to read it. Rick's asking any news on the Top Step promotion, and I will let you know just as soon as I have a chance to review their email. Okay, so kind of back now. A little bit more bearish again. We did get a nice number one signal here. First micro macro cross lower and another hard edge bounce here on the eagle. Oh, Scott's question. Sorry, let's deal with Scott's question. By the way, I would be shorting or looking to try to short. So Scott was asking about this green dot or any green dot. Scott asks, hey E, on the eagle, when the green dot, for example, prints, what is the eagle seeing to print the green dot? For each signal to print, there's roughly 6 algorithms that have to be met, 6 parameters that have to be met before a signal is complete. When half of them are met, you'll print a warning dot. So what it's telling you is that there's some bullishness creeping into the market. At least half of the trading parameters have been satisfied for a buy signal. Same thing happened down here. Over here, half of the trading parameters have been met for a sell signal. Honestly, I've never paid that much attention to it, but I suppose you could use it as a warning that maybe a reversal is pending. But, you know, even if you did that, you may have stood aside from this signal here, and, well, that certainly had a very nice follow through. You can see we're back down here near the lows of the day, and again, we're seeing some buying pressure. So some of the buy parameters are being met. And this is true for all the tools, by the way. When you get those warning dots, that means that half of your signal parameters have been satisfied. Scott asked, so is it attached to structure or volume? Honestly, Scott, I don't know. Like I said, there's 6 parameters for each signal that have to be met. So all it's telling me is that 3 out of the 6 are satisfied. There are price components in the measurements. There are momentum components in the measurements, in the programming. Is it always the same 3? No. No. One time it may be the volatility measure combined with the momentum measure combined with one of the price specifications. The next time it may be a different combination. All right, Scott says, look at the dots. Look at the dots when they appear on the cloud side and on the other side of the turn. Not before the turn, not at the tip of the turn, but at the other side of the turn. All right, let's see if I can follow you. So are you talking about a sell dot like this, coupled with another one like this? Yes, okay. Those are the ones Scott's looking at. Are you suggesting they have greater follow through than one like this? Because these dots here, well, sorry, these two are with trend. This one is counter trend. These are counter trend. I don't know. Yeah, cloud side only. I get it. So you're looking for signals counter to the cloud. So you've got a red warning dot, you've got a bullish cloud, red warning dot, red warning dot, red warning dot. Bearish cloud, green warning dot. Bearish cloud, green warning dot. I don't know. You know, I'd have to follow it some more. I think what's dominant here is not so much the fact that we're getting red warning dots, but that the trend is down. You know, certainly if any of you spy something that seems to have some consistency to it, I certainly appreciate you sharing it. I'll have to keep a lookout. You know, like these red ones worked, but these green ones, well, that green one I suppose did work. That one had some follow through. That one not very much. All right. Okay, getting some nice follow through on some of our signals here this morning. Really nice follow through on some of our signals here this morning. I was looking to short this number one signal that developed, this one right here, and it looks like that would have worked out very nicely. Let's see, would the ATR hold me in? Oh, it would have held me in for a lot of it. A nice little ride. As the market getting a little unstuck here at the moment. Might have to wait a while for another signal to develop. This is kind of back to what we saw yesterday, where the market making a strong move early on and then tries to recover and ends up going kind of sideways for the rest of the day. That's probably what we're going to see here today. Hey, way to go, Mickey. Mickey says, I've taken 3 sim trades, all winners, up 845. Nicely done. You know, folks, if you can do it in sim, you can do it with real money as well. The temptation in sim is to treat it like a video game, and you should not do that. You should do your best to make it as realistic as possible to shorten your learning curve. People ask, how will I know when I'm ready to go live? Well, you'll probably know, but a good test is if you can, trade profitably for a month, you're probably on solid footing. If you can, after 20 days, now you won't have seen, all the different things the market can throw at you in 20 days, 20 trading days in a month, by the way. You won't have seen all the different scenarios that the market can do, but you'll have a pretty sure grounding in your tools. And as I mentioned before, you don't need to chase every signal. If the market's doing something that you just don't quite understand and you haven't seen before, you don't really feel good about it, just let it pass. Just let it go and study it, see how it unfolds. And then you can say for the next time, yes, this was a good trade, or no, I should have passed on it. Sorry about that. The stupid telemarketers. Okay. Well, things a little bit more bearish to be sure, but I wonder if we're starting to the daily chart again. Starting to get down here to where the buyers got a little giddy up. So I would assume as we get closer to 7,400, if we can get closer to 7,400, we may see a little bit more buying come into the market as well. I think that was pretty close to where the trend line fell also, when I had that trend line on the chart. Well, I'm afraid that I may have been a little late to the party here again today, getting another number 3 signal. It is with trend. It just kind of hopped over my signal there. Wow, things getting a little sketchy now. The problem with this trade will be where do I cover it? I guess there's swing 1, there's swing 2. It would look something like this, but notice we're getting a 2-3-2. Here's a 2 signal, there's a 3 signal, there's actually a 2 signal. So things getting a little bit stronger as well. Let's just toss in this number 3 and see if they have anything left here to the short side. Okay, they got the break even and they got my profit target. Hooray! So, you know, if you were looking to trade for a living, I just made my daily quota. Am I disappointed that I missed this monster move? Yes, of course I am. But even if I had only snatched $100 out of this move, let's say I'm a small trader and I can't afford to have a runner in play, and I take my $100 profit off my number one signal, you should be satisfied with that, because if you can do that day in and day out, honestly, there's no limit to the amount of money that you can earn. Because after that, it becomes a game of multiples. So, you know, if $100 isn't enough, if you want to earn $500 a day, well, then instead of trading one contract, you need to get yourself into a position where you can trade 5. So build up your account. $500 a day not enough. You want to earn 1,000. Okay, well then you need to trade 10 contracts. 2,000, 20 contracts. 3,000, 30 contracts. And if you're starting to trade that kind of volume, then you may want to start looking at the S&P, which will easily absorb that kind of volume. The NASDAQ will as well. There's quite a bit of volume in the NASDAQ. But when you start trading between 30 and 50 contracts on the NASDAQ, you may experience a little bit of slippage as you try to get in and out of your orders. But honestly, that's a nice problem to have. Mo's asking, Eric, was that same move shown on the Hawk micro scalper? Well, let's take a look here. Well, not really, no. The first micro macro cross signal here, and I do believe that hit its scalp target, but not much more. The Raptor signal printed while this was a bit of a convoluted mess. So you did get a scalp signal, but it didn't exactly coincide with the Raptor. Nope, neither with the Falcon. The Falcon, oh, sorry, maybe this was the Raptor signal right here. No, actually, I think the Raptor fired a little bit earlier. But here was a follow-up signal on the Falcon. And looks like we had just a regular with trend signal here on the Eagle. The Raptor, normally the signals do piggyback. Either the Hawk or the Falcon will piggyback a Raptor signal. But every once in a while, the Raptor, because of the way the programming is, will produce its own signal. All right, those lows are holding. It's making me think, oh, that's a bad thing. It's making me think maybe a bottom is in for now. Oh yeah, we're about an hour into the session. This is typically if there's been a trend, and I think we can certainly call that a trend. If there's been a trend about an hour in, very often we will see the market attempt to reverse on itself. I don't know if it's profit taking or just the way it is, but there will be a tendency for the market to try to do that. We'll see. counter trend trades are always so tempting, and I hate it. I hate doing them. But of course, every once in a while they work out, which just adds fuel to the fire. All right, here now, kind of a messed up number 2 signal as we get, retests, counter trend signals, hard edge bounces. I guess the big opportunity to buy will be on a break up here. That's going to put the sellers on notice that the buyers are getting a little bit stronger. And right on cue, Trade Forecaster says we are now in scalp mode for a little over half an hour, after which we should go back into trend mode. So that's kind of what we're looking at here. Another with trend signal, which is always inviting. When the market is really stuck in a sideways range like this, again, it opens up the opportunity for perhaps an OCO type order. So we can throw a buy order in, we can throw a sell order in, and I don't want to buy, one tick break. I'd rather give it a few ticks either way. All right, so they filled me to the long side. I will get my stop loss. Actually, it's a good idea sometimes to have the stop loss activated as you place your OCO order. Remember, if you're in a panic, if the market does something and you're panicking, you can always hit your close button, or you can hit your panic exit button, both of which will get you out of a trade right away. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my break even in just a little. So we're going to, if the market rallies from here, we're going to produce a number 1 signal, a cloud crossover signal. You can see the cloud's almost entirely crossed at this point. I'm thinking maybe a move back toward 7,500. The primary support line at 75.02 and a quarter. Oh, the evils of counter trend trading. So here we got the breakout, we got the retest. The retest actually a little bit deeper than I would have liked to have seen. It kind of fell back in the middle of that trading range, which actually makes it fairly neutral. If the market had broken out, so here's the top end. This is why it's always safer to wait for the breakout and the retest. I had a trading friend who always used to say, never trust a breakout. I should have listened. So we get the breakout and the retest. We don't want the market to retest too deeply. Rather, ideally, we want to see it recover somewhere near where the breakout occurred, because that shows us active, in this case, active buying. Here, the market slipped kind of back inside the middle of the trading range, which is less desirable because the market's fairly balanced at that point. But there is hope. Remember, the market's like a huge ocean liner. It needs some room to turn around. Very rarely will it turn on a dime. I'm waiting to adjust my stop. I need to see the market trade above some of these little swing highs that we have here, these intermediate swing highs. But the sellers are not having any of it. Nope, they're going to tag me out here in just a second. Yeah, not surprised at that. You know, when in doubt, stay with the trend. Steve asks, why didn't you draw a trend line from one across and make that your entry? Okay, let's see what you're seeing. Oh, I see. I think Steve's mentioning this. Yeah, that would work, sure. there's no shortage of ways to get into a trade. I highlighted the OCO trade, but really breakout trades, like I said, trading friend of mine always said, never trust a breakout. And this is why. Because the market will break out and then come back inside the trading range. If we get the breakout and the breakout holds, it doesn't get too deep inside the trading range and it holds, then there's a very good chance the breakout will continue. Likewise, now here to the short side. So we've broken out. Here now is a retest or something resembling a retest. This would be an opportunity to short. It's not going to be one of our high probability signals, but even if it's one of our discretionary signals. Like here, I'll set the stops. We'll enable those. We'll look for a discretionary signal. If we get one. Things are getting a little bit late in the day as well. Okay, so here now a warning dot. And there now is the discretionary signal, right? So we've broken out, we've retested, we've produced a signal. And hopefully now there will be some follow through on that. And what the heck, maybe we'll try to run it out a little bit if it continues lower. Okay, stops now at break even. And maybe I'll change to an ATR strategy. Oh, don't take me out. Stinkers. So here now another retest. So maybe the first one was too early. You can see we're getting some green warning dots, so maybe this is as low as we're going to get today. This is what? This is now the third leg lower for the market. Let's take a look at our eagle. So here was the open. There's leg number one down. There's leg number two down. That was the big one. And a little bit shorter, leg number three. Very often we'll only get 3 moves before a reversal. Okay, yet another number 3 signal kind of popping up really quick. I didn't get a chance to get in on that one, but we'll see if there's a bit of a second push opportunity. And once again, we'll try to run this one out a little bit. It would have been much nicer to try to short it from up here, but oh well, didn't work out that way. Yet another number 3 signal. The big deal are these lows right here. We got to see the market trade below those lows. These little sideways congestion periods are just enough to drive you right around the bend. There we go. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Come on. Okay, so we'll take the trade to break even. Oh, no, we won't. Shoot, my auto break even did not roll my stop. And we'll see here in a second if that was a good thing or not. Okay, I'm manually going to bring the trade down to break even now. There we go. Come on, let's get a little giddy up. All right, not bad. Not bad. We're getting some very aggressive selling. You can see a huge selling block coming through here on the Geiger counter. I might even get ready with something more aggressive like my bar high low. Maybe really put the squeeze on them if the market starts to fall off here. Where's my next support zone? Oh, way down here. Okay, well, I won't be greedy. I'll throw in a buy order. Let's say I'll take profit on this side of 74.20 if I can get it. All right, I'm going to go now with my bar high low strategy. Oh, might have been a little too quick on the trigger there. The bar high low strategy, very aggressive stop strategy, or you can make it as aggressive as you want. The default is not that aggressive, but it serves to get you out of a trade on the first sign of weakness. All right, not a bad move. You can see the advantage of just trying to stay with trend um, for as long as possible. And a fairly brisk session here right now. I do think that could be it for the sellers. If we get a bullish pushback here now, it looks like we're flattening out again a little bit here on the hawk. The Falcon filter is starting to break up, although technically this could turn into a late filter entry signal to short. Oh, look at that. I'm not going to take it, but just curious to see how it would play out. There it is. There's the late filter entry signal to short. So the filter out of sync, now back into sync. The trend line itself never changing color. This tends to be a pretty good trade overall. So at least according to the Falcon, it says, nope, sellers are not done yet. But as I showed you in the Eagle, my concern is partially for the duration of the downtrend. The sellers making 3 strong moves lower, and that's a lot. That's a lot for any market. Typically on the Eagle, we'll only see 2 moves, occasionally 3, like today. It's not unusual to see 3 legs or sometimes even 4 in the Falcon and the Raptor. Oh, Mark says his trend line did change color. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the data. Stupid computers. Vincent is asking, Eric, can we see the FDAX? Let's see here. All right, one moment. I need to put it back into my data. I haven't checked this market for the longest time. I don't even know if I had trouble with my data a few months back. And I don't know if I still get this data feed or not. We'll see here in a second. For those of you unfamiliar, the DAX is like the European Dow Jones or the European S&P. Oh, it is loading. And is it current? What the? Okay, here's the DAX, but I think my data is off. 740. Yeah, that's almost 15 minutes late. What's up with that? Okay, well, that's obviously not very helpful. Some people watch the DAX. They think that it actually leads the markets. I don't know if that's the case. I have watched it from time to time, but you'll see that the moves are pretty much mirrored on your other tools as well. I'm gonna have to look into that, find out what's going on with my data. This one I know is current. All right, gang. I've got to get ready. I've got a phone call I need to make at the top of the hour, so I'm just going to close the room here a few minutes early. I will see you again tomorrow. If you're going to trade the remainder of the day, you can anticipate a little bit of a pushback and that the market is probably going to enter a bit of a sideways drift. I would be very surprised if we got all the way back to 7,500. I would be less surprised if we got back to about halfway, maybe 74, 65, 74, 70. So there is some upside potential, but yeah, overall caution is in order. The trend is down. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.